The sun beat down mercilessly over the endless expanse of the desert, turning the sand into a golden sea that shimmered with heat. Sheriff Daniel Harper squinted against the glare, his hat pulled low over his brow, sweat trickling down his face as he rode his chestnut horse Blaze across the barren land. A desperate call had reached him early that morning from a small homestead on the edge of Red Rock Valley. A young girl, barely 10 years old, had wandered away from her family during the morning chores and had not been seen for hours. The terrain was unforgiving, a vast wilderness of dunes, rocky outcrops, and hidden ravines where a child could easily get lost or trapped. And Daniel knew time was slipping away with every passing moment. He urged Blaze forward, feeling the familiar strength and loyalty in the horse beneath him. Blaze's hooves struck the earth with rhythmic determination, the steady pounding echoing like a heartbeat across the empty desert. They had been partners for years, facing storms, outlaws, and untold dangers together, and Daniel trusted his companion's instincts as much as his own. The sheriff scanned the horizon, searching for any sign of movement, any hint that could lead him to the frightened girl. He had learned from long years of service that the desert was as deadly for the unprepared as any gang of outlaws, and a lost child could quickly fall prey to dehydration, heat stroke, or sheer panic. He spoke softly to Blaze, as though the horse understood every word. "Keep your eyes sharp, boy. She's out here somewhere and we're going to find her." Blaze snorted, raising his head, ears twitching toward the wind, and continued to pick his way over the uneven ground, moving with a combination of speed and caution. Daniel thought back to the frantic calls of the girl's parents, the tears in the mother's eyes, the father's trembling hands, and the way the small homestead seemed suddenly empty and vulnerable without their daughter. The sheriff knew that the desert could be merciless, that one wrong step could turn hope into tragedy, and he pressed himself and Blaze harder, scanning every dune, every shadow, every hidden crevice where a child might have sought refuge. Hours passed, and the heat rose to a suffocating pitch. Daniel's throat was parched, his shirt soaked with sweat, yet he refused to slow down. Blaze moved tirelessly beneath him, seemingly sensing the urgency of the situation, nudging forward as if guided by some unspoken instinct. Suddenly, Daniel spotted a faint imprint in the sand, small footprints that barely disturbed the earth but were unmistakable. A child's shoes, half buried by the shifting wind. He reined Blaze in and leaned close, examining the tracks carefully. They led toward a rocky outcrop in the distance, a place that could easily conceal someone and yet offered some shade from the merciless sun. With renewed determination, Daniel followed the trail, moving steadily, calling out the girl's name in a calm, reassuring voice. "Emily, Emily, it's Sheriff Harper. Don't be afraid. We're here to get you home." The wind carried his voice across the dunes, and for a long moment there was only silence, broken by the soft, rhythmic clatter of Blaze's hooves. Then a faint cry reached his ears, high-pitched and trembling, carried on the wind, but unmistakable. Daniel's heart surged, and he urged Blaze forward, covering the distance faster, the rocky outcrop looming ahead like a beacon of hope. They arrived to find the girl huddled beneath a small ledge, her face streaked with tears and dust, hands gripping the stones as if they could hold her steady. She looked up at Daniel with wide, terrified eyes, and for a moment the desert seemed to fall away, leaving only the sheriff, his horse, and the frightened child. Daniel dismounted swiftly, kneeling beside her, speaking in a soothing voice that carried both authority and warmth. "Emily, it's all right. You're safe now. We found you and we're taking you home." The girl hesitated, fear still clinging to her like a shadow, but Blaze stepped closer, nuzzling her gently with his warm muzzle, his presence a calming force that seemed to whisper, "I won't let anything happen to you." Emily's lips trembled, and then she managed a small, tentative smile, reaching out to stroke the horse's neck. Daniel lifted her carefully into his arms, feeling the slight weight of the child and the relief coursing through him. He knew that the desert was no longer a threat as long as Blaze and he remained vigilant. Mounting back onto Blaze, Daniel held Emily securely in front of him, her small arms wrapped around his chest, and urged the horse forward, retracing their path across the dunes toward the distant homestead. The journey back was quiet but tense, the sun still blazing overhead, the wind shifting sand into small clouds that threatened to blind them at every step. Daniel spoke softly, keeping Emily reassured, telling her that she had been very brave, that she had kept moving and that help had come just in time. Blaze moved with unerring skill across the rough terrain, adjusting his footing to avoid hidden crevices and soft sand, every step a testament to his strength and loyalty. Hours later, the homestead came into view, and Emily's parents ran toward them, their shouts of relief carrying across the open land. Tears streamed down their faces as they rushed to take their daughter into their arms, clinging to her as if they would never let go. Daniel handed Emily over carefully, his heart swelling with quiet pride and satisfaction, while Blaze pawed the ground gently, aware that their mission was complete. The family thanked him profusely, their gratitude overwhelming. Yet Daniel only nodded, brushing the sweat from his brow. He knew that the desert was unforgiving, that luck had played a part, but that the bond between man and horse had been the deciding factor, the element that had made this rescue possible. As he mounted Blaze once more, he looked back at the homestead, now safe, the girl reunited with her parents, and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The sheriff and his horse had faced the desert together, tested by heat, exhaustion, and fear, and they had emerged victorious, their courage and loyalty shining like a beacon across the endless sand. Together, Daniel and Blaze rode off into the fading light, the desert stretching endlessly before them, knowing that whatever dangers lay ahead, they would face them as they always had, side by side, united in trust, bravery, and an unbreakable bond. The legend of the sheriff and his horse growing with every story told across the frontier.